The reason why they become bad and bad to the community is because they need to struggle what they need. So when police hassle us, give us bad time and say because we did bad stuff, is because we can't support ourselves.
Young people cited the criminalization of being homeless as exacerbating their instability by keeping them on the move and making it that much harder for them to find stable housing. In Los Angeles, every single one of the youth in the focus group that we held there had been ticketed for a quality of life offense. And the great majority, needless to say, did not pay these tickets because, as they pointed out, we're homeless. We don't have money to pay the tickets. And that often eventually led to garnishment of wages and often arrest.
I was working at Citibank. I had a bank account with Washington Mutual. I had over $900 saved up. I was really going for my apartment. And, pretty much, sleeping on the streets and stuff, I kept on getting these tickets. Now, I can't pay these tickets because I'm trying to save my money. It's like $250 tickets. Now, the courts, they decided to send it to collections. And the collection, they start meddling in all your stuff and find out where all your money is. They got into my bank account and garnished all my wages.
According to some research by the National Coalition for the Homeless over the past couple of decades, the trend has been towards using the criminal justice system and away from using systems such as mental health and social service.
A lot of people think being homeless is a crime when in reality it's not. It's something that just happens, I guess.
Something that could be changed in the politics of dealing with homeless youth is a lot of police treat homeless kids like they're criminals and they're delinquents, and they're not really. Most of the time it's not really their fault that they ended up where they are. They're just a victim of circumstance, and I feel like a lot of the police should be trained not to treat these kids like criminals, but to treat them like people that have been used and abused.
Our second recommendation: undo the criminalization of homelessness.
Because we get a lot of training on how to deal with the criminals. We don't get a lot of training on how to be compassionate and empathetic to the situations that we run into with the juveniles on the street as first responders. It disturbed me that that's how we're being perceived. And when I read that, I looked back and says that has to be our communication skills.
And they're not really a help. I think they could be helpful, if they knew about the resources and they knew places for the homeless to go, instead of just going to the homeless and saying, get off the street, or if I see you out here again, I'm gonna arrest you.
When the pimp that had kidnapped me was pulled over and I was taken out of the car, the back of the pimp's car, and put in the back of a police car, handcuffed, arrested, and taken to juvenile hall. Nobody asked me what had happened to me over those 10 days. When I got taken to juvenile hall, that police officer that arrested me assumed because I had a record that I was a criminal, and I spent the next 30 days suffering.
Build a communication with the child, find out what the problem is, and then you can find a solution to stop the runaway cycle.
Our third recommendation: train police to communicate effectively with young people in crisis on the streets.
And then right when I'm released, I'm on the streets, I have nowhere else to go. I end up downtown, of all places. So right now we're on Wall and 5th, if I'm not mistaken. Pretty much this is pretty much where a lot of the cops drop off, a lot of the older homeless people. But a lot of homeless youth don't hang out down here. Just because it's just really dangerous.
Interestingly, although there's a very high level of victimization among youth on the street, not a single young person out of 200 plus that we surveyed reported ever turning to the police for help.
I've gotten, 3 sleeping bags stolen from me since I've been on the streets.
We should call the police department, but we don't, because we already know who's going to come out, we already know what division is going to come out, and we're drug addicts, we're dope dealers, we're prostitutes. We have no right.
Our fourth recommendation: make it safe for homeless or criminally involved youth to turn to the police for help so they can end the cycle. Undo the criminalization of homelessness. Train police to communicate effectively with young people in crisis on the streets. Make it safe for homeless or criminally involved youth to turn to the police for help so they can end the cycle.